10. We're going to try and replay some of the snippets of that conversation once again, because it's broken down into two parts. Videocon has a total of 6 circles, and if I heard the management there correctly, 2 of those circles have gone under the spectrum trading mechanism. That's Gujarat and UP West, whereas they'll be sharing spectrum with Idea for 2 other circles, and that's MP and Haryana. So basically 2 parts to this deal. One is spectrum trading and the other is spectrum sharing. I think we've got Prerna joining in. Prerna, if you could recap all the deal details first of all, the circles in which spectrum will be traded and the ones in which it will be shared.
This is what we are picking up, is that Videocon is looking to sell spectrum in Gujarat and UP West. This means they are completely looking to exit in these 2 circles, and Idea is acquiring their spectrum. Videocon has about 5 megahertz of spectrum in the LTE band, in the 1800 megahertz band. They are completely exiting in Gujarat and UP West, and Idea is acquiring their spectrum in these 2 circles. The valuation is about 3,300 crore rupees, so it's quite a positive deal for Videocon in terms of their debt. And of course, Venugopal Dhoot also has told CNBC 18 that they will soon announce, the deal and will look at, exiting 2 more circles, which is UP West as well. And then, of course, there are other circles like MP and Haryana, which are good circles for Videocon at this point in time. They have a good customer base, and they will soon launch 4G in these 2 circles. So a positive, deal in terms of Videocon coming in at this point in time.
So, Prerna, just to once again go over the numbers, 3,310 crores, which is the value of the deal. This is only for 2 circles, if I heard you right. That's Gujarat and UP, which have been sold to Idea, correct?
This is only for the 2 circles, yes.
Okay. Okay, so we don't know the monetary dynamics of the sharing part of this deal, which is the other 2 circles, MP and Haryana, which are, of course, pretty significant for the company as well. Okay, we've, I think, got Rajan Mathew also with us on the line. Mr. Matthews, thanks for joining in. So first, signs of, I don't know to what extent we can call it consolidation, but definitely the M&A activity picking up as was expected once these guidelines were liberalized. Your first thoughts?
So clearly this is in line. So we are happy that the consolidation is taking place, because one of the issues facing the industry is adequate spectrum. What consolidation does is allow the major players to aggregate additional spectrum through this process. So it's overall quite good for the industry and in line with what we were expecting.
What would you say in terms of, the synergies and the benefits that it involves? Because the deal that we've seen today is a 2-part deal. It has a component of sharing as well as trading. So, the rationale of making this a 2-part deal.
So obviously there are financial issues involved and due diligence matters that have to be taken care of. The difference, obviously, as you know, in the trading, you outright gain ownership. On sharing, you don't give up the ownership. So those are financial matters that will probably be discussed between the 2 parties. The issue, obviously, in terms of acquisition of spectrum is probably more important in the long term, because it gives you a longer-term commitment and allows you to optimize your network better as opposed to sharing. So that is usually the preferred method. And so I guess this 2-part series will probably go that way in the long term, I suppose.
Right. Of course, I don't have the luxury of putting this question immediately to Mr. Dhoot, but just your thoughts. Videocon has been one of the smaller players of the industry, and there's always been the talk that they would be looking at exiting this business. What do you think now, how does this work from the subscribers' point of view? Because suddenly, subscribers in Gujarat and UP, do you see automatic migration happening? Or do you think gradually the subscribers using M&P will port out anyway, realizing that Videocon perhaps is on exit course?
We've been through this way before. If you recall, Loop had a similar type of situation. So there's regulatory clearances as well as legal clearances that will have to be gone through. Once that is done, there is a period in which the subscribers will be notified of the change. if there is a outright sale in terms of the trading, obviously it's easier because those numbers can be kept. It's a back-end issue that will be addressed. On the sharing side, we will have to see how that will work in terms of the customers. Usually there's very little that will upset the customer or impact the customer. They'll get to keep the numbers. So I think there will be minimal disruption. Most of it will be on the part of the operators having to go through the legal process and notification process, both to the DOT, TRI, as well as to the customers.
Sir, your thought on the deal valuations, the numbers that I have with me, I mean, rough calculation, I think Videocon bought the spectrum in all the 6 circles put together for somewhere around 2,200 crores. And this, of course, back in 2012. They've sold off just 2 circles for 3,300 crores. What does this tell you about where the industry stands with respect to how spectrum is being valued?
So clearly, the disaggregation of the value between the value of the spectrum, the value of the network, and the value of the customers that are coming, that will be something that will have to be looked at. The one headline number is tough to disaggregate at this particular point, but overall, I think what we are seeing is that the mobility factor, when the aggregation of the spectrum put together in terms of contiguous spectrum, obviously value goes.
Okay, Mr. Matthews, do stay on the line. We also have Mr. Tulsian joining in the conversation. Mr. Tulsian, good evening. Thanks for